Back in the third episode, I said that our society has made great progress in terms of racism. And that's true. There are better job opportunities for every race, and anybody can sit in the front of the bus. But the one thing about racism that I still think is a huge issue in our society is interracial dating. Now, as someone who's interracial, this bothers me. I also did say in the third episode that we shouldn't look at people in terms of their race. The reason why I'm doing it in this episode is because I want to show what happens to our society when we judge people based on their race. A couple months ago, I came across an article on an online dating site. The online dating site was OKCupid, and the article was called How Your Race Affects the Messages That You Get. This article had calculated a couple things based on the members of its site. The first thing it calculated was people's compatibility to other races based on their own race. As you can see, there are no strong correlations between a person's race and their compatibility to another race. The lowest compatibility percentage in this entire graph is 56%, and the highest is 62%. The next thing it calculated was the response rates of females when a male sent out a message to a female on the site. As you can see, the percentages are much lower. Overall, you can say the average response rate for a male, if they send out a message to a female, regardless of their race, is around 25%. The last graph is going to show you male response rates when a female was the one to initiate the conversation. And just like last time, it'll divide everything up according to races. The response rate is much higher for males. The average is probably around the high 40s to the low 50s. What's the first thing you can take from these graphs? Men are more desperate than women, but I think that's always been the case. In terms of race, white men wrote the least and got the most responses. Black women wrote the most and got the least responses. White women preferred white men, and Spanish and Asian women preferred white men even more. Over the past couple of years, I've heard black women complain that black men don't go after them, that they'll see black men go after girls of every other race other than their own. I didn't know if that was necessarily true, but based on the graphs on the side of OKCupid, you have to think that there is a degree of truth to what they're saying. I mean, not only can they not get anybody of their own race to go after them, at least on this site, but they can't get guys of any race to give them any attention. Now, in some cases, I'm pretty sure that people don't respond because they look at a person's profile and say to themselves, well, they don't seem that interesting, or I don't have anything in common with them. And that makes sense. But over the long run, for black women to have such low response rates from males, and for white males, for that matter, to have such high response rates from females, you kind of get the idea that it has nothing to do with compatibility, at least at first. The reason why black women get such low response rates and why white men get such high response rates comes down to what America has been about ever since it became a country. Black is whack and white is right. Bottom line, it's 2012. Most people don't care if you're a friend of another race. Most people don't care if you work with somebody who is of another race. A lot of people don't care if you date somebody of another race, but enough of them do, so much so that if they're asked out by somebody of another race, they'll just look at them and automatically judge what that person is like based on their own race and not even give them a chance. That's pathetic.